In this video, we're going to talk about adjusting sliding stops like we have here on this Bowtech Reckoning, this Quest Thrive bow. This also pertains to the Prime bows, the Martins, the old Bowtechs with sliding stops, the Expedition bows with sliders, the Elites that use a sliding system similar to this. Sliding stops have a few benefits. You can infinitely adjust your let off, fine tune the draw length, and the valley length of the bow. There are a few drawbacks to the sliding stop though. The main drawback is exactly that it slides. There's no particular spot that it goes. When you're using the old style cam, you put the stop in a stop peg hole and that's where it is. Both the top and the bottom are in the same spot. You pull that stop out, put it back in, it's in the same spot it was before. With the sliding stop, if you move it, it's hard to get it back exactly where it was. The other drawback pertains to the binary cam system with sliding stops. With binary cams, it's important that both cams be synced evenly at full draw. With previous versions of the binary cam from Bowtech, what we did is we rough synced the cams to these timing marks. We took the bow to full draw, and then we would sync our stops at full draw till they both touch the same. We would be twisting our cables back and forth to rotate the cam to advance or retard one cam. So with the sliding system, we would just be eyeballing the top and eyeballing the bottom, tightening our stops down. We'd be pulling it back to full draw, and then we would be syncing our cams to where we have the stops, which is an approximate location. To more precisely do that, if we could have these stops in the exact same location, we could get these cams synced at full draw in a very precise way. If you're familiar with our company, you've already seen the four-sided stops that we produced. We made these so that you can do exactly what the sliding stop does. This stop style has no benefit on the sliding system since we can do everything with this that this does. The problem with this is accuracy. How do we minutely move that around? So this is out, this is in. This is the tool you need to precisely adjust those stops on the sliding system. Let's take a closer look at the Justo. It has a symmetrical design so that the measurement on this side and this side will be the same. The V on the bottom accommodates your draw stop. The pins sticking out the side will stick into your cam, and the distance between the V and the pin will be how you hold the location of your draw stop. The scale system that we use on the Justo is the same as you'll see on most target sites. Each click is 2/1000ths of an inch. So let's put 2/1000ths into perspective. Those of you who have used our four-sided stops before, the distance between this side and this side is 25/1000ths. So when you rotate this stop is the equivalent of moving this 12.5 clicks. So you have more control with using the Justo than you had with the four-sided stops. Another feature of the Justo is that it's modular design. We can build adapters to fit on this side of the tool, and we can also build different pins to go in this side of the tool. That will allow us to adapt to future bows or some of the present bows that it might not fit on. The current tool, the way it'll come, it'll have a 110/1000ths diameter pin on this side, 150/1000ths long. This example, we're going to set up a Reckoning 38, and we're going to set the stops up how we would do it to sync the cams, and then we'll go over a few examples of how to make some adjustments. So the first thing we'll do is we'll determine that we're doing a 29-inch draw length. We will rough set one of the stops, either the top or the bottom, to approximately the 29-inch mark that the factory supplies on the cam. We'll take the Justo, and we're going to take the pin side of the Justo is going to go into the slot. The V will cradle the stop. And we're just looking for a measurement here. We are going to bring the Justo up to the stop, and we'll pull it out and we'll look and record our number that we have here. So we have 41.5. So it's 41.5. So I'm going to record that number down. This is the bottom cam. 41.5, and I'm also going to set the top to 41.5. to do our initial cam sinking. So this is the top cam, and since the cams are the same, both top and bottom on this bow, we want to put this one to the same reading. And if you notice, you're using, on the bottom cam you use this side of the tool, on the top cam you use this side. This pin goes into the slot just like the bottom. Pull that slot back in. There's a little bit of tension in the whole system. Tighten it down. Don't use the Justo to try and move a tight stop. Set the Justo, pull the stop into the Justo. And if it's a little bit too tight here, you can back it off, bring it back to your number. So now we have both the top and the bottom stop exactly the same, just like the old cams were with the holes like that. We're not guessing, they're not kind of close, they're exactly the same. We're going to go over the drawboard, we're going to draw the bow back, and then we're going to twist the cables to advance or retard the cams. And what we want to end up with is that full draw, both of the stops contact the cables at the same time. In this process, we do not want to move the stops. If you move the stops, then you are not syncing the cams anymore. And with the binary system, synced cams feel way better than the cams that are out of sync. Now that we have both cams in sync, what we want to do is we'll want to go out and shoot the bow. And we want to determine what we want to do with the bow. Do we want a little more draw length, a little less draw length, more valley, less valley, a little more aggressive? Let's just say we want to make the bow a little more aggressive. If we want to go more aggressive, we want to move the stop towards the shorter draw lengths. If we want to have the bow make a little more length out of it, add a little valley, then we want to move towards the longer draw length. So we're gonna pretend we want to make a little more aggressive. And what I would recommend on the tool is I would recommend to make adjustments in about the 10 click increments until you go a little bit too far and then split that 10. Otherwise, if you go like 1 or 2 clicks, it's going to take you a while to find the right spot. But you'll definitely feel, oh, that was too much or that was not enough. So with our base number of 41.5, our tool is still set there. We want to bring our stop to a shorter draw length. We want to decrease this distance, so we want to go to a larger number. And I'm just going to count clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you'll notice that each click, each revolution of the knob is 20 clicks, but there's 10 numbers on it, so each number is 2 clicks. So from 41.5, we ended up at 42. And it's pretty simple to adjust the stop. The Justo's gonna slide in just the way we had it before. We're gonna loosen that stop up, bring it into the Justo. We are gonna pull it out. We're gonna do the bottom cam exactly the same way. Again, use that side on the top, you're gonna use this side on the bottom. Tighten it up, and if you can't get it out when it's in there, if it's a little bit too tight, just loosen the tool up, bring it out, and just make sure you go back to the number you were at to set your other stop. So now that's going to make the bow a little more aggressive. If it's not enough, let's move it another 10. But one of the things you need to do is you need to record this 42.0, and this will help you. I hate taking notes too, but this will help you if you ever need to come back to it. So let's just say we did a sync at that, at the 41.5, and this was, let's just say it was too aggressive. Now what we would do is either split that number, or we could go back to the 41.5. So if we just set the tool back at 41.5, loosen the stop up, tighten it down, and you got it. You're back, right back where you were. So if you found something that you liked, But you want to try something, it's easy to get back. That was the biggest fear when I had bows with sliding stops on, is once I got something kind of close, I didn't want to move it because you'll never get back in the same spot, but now you can. We've just adjusted the cam for 29 inches. I've got the tool close to bottomed out, as close as this can go. And if we do the same method that we had before, if you look at where the stop ends up, it's about 27.5 inches. So if you need to get down into the shorter areas, all we have to do is use the tool from a different spot. So we'll use this corner in the slot back here. So as long as you're consistently using the tool with the same setup, you're going to be able to repeatedly adjust that stop. So we can be in there and adjust that down as short as we need to go. You might end up running the tool, depending upon the cam, maybe you got to go into a cutout to the stop, or maybe you have to go to a tooling hole to the stop. It's all fine as long as you're consistently using the same point. We're now looking at the Quest Thrive, and this is going to be an example of, let's say you're shooting this bow and you're pretty happy with the way it is, but you want to make a minor adjustment to the stops. And what we need to do then is first record where the stops are so that we can come back to this and we can record how far we're actually moving. We're going to use the tooling hole for the pin on the Justo, and we'll just bring that V up into that stop, pull it out, and we'll record that number, and it is 23.7. That's the bottom cam. And let's say the top cam's a little bit different. Let's say you put it on there and it was 24.8. So with those numbers, you can always get that bow back the way it was. What you do now is just make your adjustments from 23.7. Let's go three numbers, so it's 6 clicks. So that would be 24.0, and from 24.8, that would go to 25.1. So we would set that on our Justo, adjust the stop, both top and bottom, go out and shoot it, determine what we want to do. Do we want to go back to the original number, or maybe even keep going? So with the tool, you can get right back where you are. You can take tool out onto the range with you, out in the field, do your adjustments out there. You don't have. For everyone that has not used the reference mark on a target site, we're going to go over how to read this scale system right now. And what we first do is we look at this particular part, and that each number on this rod has a value of 1. So the actual numerical 1 is 10, the numerical 2 is 20, 30, and 40. The side of the tool has an indicator spot right here, and we line that up with the lines that are on the scale. So we're at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and we're not quite to 15, so we're between 14 and 15. So our first number will be 14. Then we look at the knob, and on the knob there is a witness line right here, and we just see what it lines up with. So it's 5. And typically what we do is just put a decimal point and 5. That would be our number. It would be 14.5. That's how you read it. If it's in between two marks, you could go as far as go 14.55. That's 2/1000ths of an inch on your stop. I really wouldn't record anything that close. I would just record it to that number. So make sure when you're doing adjustments, record this number, and you can always get back to where you originally were. That's how the Justo works. I believe it's going to make your life a lot easier having a tool like this. I know it's going to make your life a lot easier. I've had the adjustable stops on bows years ago already, and I was in that case where, you know, I'd get kind of where I want it, but I wouldn't want to move it then to try and get a little bit better, because I knew even with all the measuring equipment that I have, and trust me, I've got a lot of measuring equipment, I'll never get it back in the right spot. So thank you for taking the time to watch how the Justo works. I'm pretty excited about this. Like I said, this has been in my head for quite a while. It's been a pain point. Once Bowtech came out with the Reckoning, it's like now's the time, because it's going to fill a need. And I've talked to other people, even before the Reckoning came out, with slider stops that had the same issue, that they're just afraid to move them. There's no good way to adjust it. It's great having the adjustability, but no good way to adjust it. Well, with the Justo now, there is.